IOL PowerPoint presentation for DES, subject PE31 for the year 2022. Presenter Mrs. A.C. Stein, cell phone number 081 277 5321. Hotmail address ancistein@hotmail.com. Contact hours Mondays to Saturdays from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. You can either phone me or SMS or email me, and in the latter case I can send you a detailed answer. Please feel free to ask if anything is unclear or if you have problems regarding your subject. I'm willing to assist as far as I can. I'm going to discuss the most important facts of each unit separately. You will then be able to follow the content discussed if you page through your study guide while I'm discussing the content. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of any exam paper, but of the most important content for the whole year. As an introduction to the study guide, I'm shortly going to explain some information regarding the guide itself. When you turn to the front of the study guide, you will find a detailed table of contents. Here you will find the headings of the complete content, and you will be able to have an overview of your subject for the year. Take time to read through it to familiarize yourself with the content you are going to study. On page 1, you will find very important information regarding the time you are required to spend with the subject in order to be a successful student. Because this is distant teaching, it's very important that you spend adequate time right throughout the year with your study material. To just start studying before the exams will not be wise, and it will be hard to write the exams successfully. I recommend that you spend time every day with your studies. Even half an hour every day will be worthwhile. Consistency is the key to being a successful student. When you turn the page, you will find verbs, thinking, processes. These words form the key of the assignment and also the exam paper. For example, when you are requested to analyze facts, you will have to present facts in detail. And when you have to outline, you have to only give an overview and present the main features. Make sure to know what is expected of you when these verbs are present in your assignment and exam paper. Also read through 9 and 10. When you turn to Unit 1, you firstly find the table of content of this unit and then the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are an indication of what content you will find in this specific unit. Learning activities, that's LA in short, follow the learning outcomes. In these learning activities, you will find specific questions regarding the content of the specific unit. It will be wise to firstly try to answer these questions on your own and thereafter look at the answers which are at the end of each unit. When studying for the exams, use these questions to study because they form the core of the content and are very important. Do not forget to also study the assignment you completed because some of these questions will also be asked in the exams. So let us start with each unit separately now. Follow in your guide as I discuss the content. Unit 1. In 1.2.2, the body systems are discussed. Concentrate on the lymphatic, respiratory, endocrine, digestive, skeletal, urinary, cardiovascular, and nervous systems. Also know their functions, only those systems. In 1.5.3, which wrongly appears just after 1.3, the heading is Benefits of Exercise and Physical Activity. Make sure to be able to name at least 6 benefits of exercise and physical education. Certain fitness terminology are discussed in 1.4. Give attention to the following ones in order to be able to explain them. Aerobic exercises, the core, resting heart rate, flexibility, body mass index, in short BMI, blood pressure, VO2 max, THR, and MHR. Why is physical education important and to the benefit of secondary school learners? Teenagers are in such a vulnerable phase of life during their secondary years. Their bodies are changing physically and their hormones are running wild. Physical education can have a positive impact on both these areas in many ways. It can also help in managing obesity, improving self-esteem and confidence. Do you know which illnesses can be decreased when exercised regularly? These are but a few reasons. Study to know them all in 1.5.1. Currently, some secondary school learners experience certain health problems which occurs internationally. For example, HIV, mental health like depression, which is a health problem of the mind, early pregnancy, alcohol and drug abuse, and also malnutrition. There are quite a few more, so study 1.6 in this regard. Can you think of possible solutions to these problems? In 1.9, the very important topic, namely the benefits of physical exercise on emotional stability, is discussed. Exercise can treat mild depression. Study this paragraph about depression particularly to be able to discuss it extensively. Walking and jogging are very important exercises, but they differ from, for example, exercises in a gym. They are free of charge and can be done at any time of the day. They do, however, like other exercises, strengthen the heart and build muscles. There are other benefits too, so study 1.11 regarding these facts. There are 6 skill-related components of development, namely agility, balance, coordination, speed, power, and reaction time. You only need to study these names as mentioned in 2.2. In 2.5.1, the cardiorespiratory endurance activity, FARTIC, is discussed in full. Study these facts to be able to describe them clearly and well, but make sure to be able to give examples of FARTIC too. Did you know that rope skipping has the same benefits as 2 sets of single tennis games? 2.5.5 sets out all the benefits of rope skipping. Study them all. In 2.6, muscular strengthening activities and exercises are discussed. You should also be able to give examples like yoga, hill walking, cycling, and dance. A very important strength exercise is plank. Chair dips is another strength exercise. Study how to do them correctly as described in 2.6.1. The best way will be to do the exercise yourself in order to be able to describe it 100% correctly. In 2.7, flexibility exercises are discussed in detail. It is important to note that you as PE teacher can teach learners these exercises, specifically freestanding exercises. Know only the names of these examples as set out in 2.7.1. In 2.9, you need to study the traditional game, skululu, and also block. A very effective way to study this is to actually play it yourself. Then you will be able to describe it in detail. Study also 2.12 regarding the ways a PE teacher can support and help adolescents who struggle with personal problems. In 2.13.3, grouping options when presenting, for example, a game in PE is discussed. Grouping of learners can be problematic because not all learners are equally popular. So learners can be grouped in different ways, like pre-assigned groups, let learners choose, luck of draw, random characteristics, team captains, and pairs are ways to group. Know the names of these options. LA3 is about safety aspects when performing strengthening exercises, like when lifting weights, and should also be studied well. We're going to page 2, Unit 3 now, where specific gymnastic exercises are described. One technique a PE teacher should be able to teach learners 100% correctly is candlestick, which appears at the beginning of Unit 3, just before 3.1. Study this technique, that's of candlestick, so that you can describe it 100% correctly. In 3.6, different types of gymnastic balancing activities are named. You only need to know the names of the tripod balance combinations. In 3.8, rhythmic floor routines are discussed. This entails that exercises are done by gymnasts on the floor with or without music, using rhythm to express themselves. To help with these exercises and to contribute to their aesthetic nature, certain apparatus are used like ropes, hoops, balls, clubs, and ribbon. Acquaint yourself with this content. This content can be found in the first paragraph of 3.8 and should be studied extensively. Gymnastics can be done with professional equipment, but also without them. Sometimes schools do not have this equipment, and a PE teacher should then improvise to let learners do gymnastics without them. In 3.9, some ideas are set out in detail on how to still be able to practice gymnastics without any professional equipment, like to make use of the floor space, to invest in a few key pieces like benches and wedges, which are not that expensive. Even the wall can be used to practice handstands and some strengthening exercises. Study therefore 3.9 extensively in this regard. So let's turn to Unit 4 now. Unit 4 is about training issues and the management of events. The body should be stretched and warmed up before an exercise. In 4.2, common and simple stretches are mentioned, namely of the hamstrings, triceps, shoulders, standing groin stretch, and hip flex, and also quad stretch. Study only these names. In 4.3, you need to study the on your marks action to describe it 100% correctly, and also the get set and go actions. Again, an effective way to be able to describe it is to do the actions yourself while describing what you do. That's the on your marks, get set, and go actions. 4.5 discusses the 5 components of the 100-meter sprint. These components are separate but also interlinked. You only need to study the names of these 5 components. A hurdle runner can do stationary activities to help them with the running action. Study only the names of these activities in 4.9. Also, study the names only in 4.18, which are the exercises appropriate for javelin throwers. You should be able to identify which kind of actions speak of good and which of bad sportsmanship, as found in 4.20. What would you say if a player questions the decisions of the referee during a soccer game? Would that be good or bad sportsmanship? It would be bad sportsmanship because it can lead to chaos if each player questions the decisions made during a game. Can you think of an example of good sportsmanship? By congratulating the opponents after they won would be a good action. You should be able to name but also identify good and bad sportsmanship. Bad sportsmanship will be exactly the opposite. For example, when not congratulating the opponent, etc. There are three main coaching styles, namely autocratic, democratic, that's the opposite of autocratic, and laissez-faire style. You must be able to discuss what each one entails as well as evaluating them. Also make sure to be able to name at least 8 qualities of a good coach to be able to be a good and effective coach, as set out in 4.21. As a PE teacher, it can be expected from you to organize a school athletics or sport event. It is crucial to know what to organize and take care of before such an event in order to make it successful. There are quite a few things to take care of. For example, who is the event for? When is it going to be held? Where is it going to be held? Who will participate? Who will help with the event? Finances, etc. Study 4.22 in detail to know how to organize and execute a successful sport event. So let's turn to Unit 5, and the important content of Unit 5 can be found in the following points. The game of soccer is also played according to rules. What would you say? How long does a soccer game last? How many players in a team? When is a player offside? Study 5.6.1 to know the rules of soccer, especially the first 4 paragraphs up to the end of the number of players. In 5.7, the procedure on how to execute a basic pass of a rugby ball during a rugby game is discussed. And it's discussed as follows. Run straight, hold the ball with both hands, look at the receiver of the ball, pass at chest height in front of the receiver, be sure to pass. The pass is made laterally, that means sideways or backwards, not forward. Complete the pass and follow through by pointing hands at the receiver. There are steps 2 and 3 also. Study them too. Now a study tip. An easy way to do study techniques, I think, is to actually do the action yourself while you talk it through. In that way, you know how it actually should be done, and you have done it yourself, which makes it more familiar. This implies all the sport actions and even the different sport rules. To watch the sport games on television can also help to know and understand the rules for the different sport codes. As a coach, you should know the rules of a game by heart. You have to study the rules of rugby, how long a game lasts, and especially how points can be scored as set out in 5.7.1. Again here, it will help to watch a rugby game on television in order to understand the rules better. You only need to know the playing positions of a netball team as found in 5.8.1. For example, GS stands for goal shooter, and the job of a goal shooter to score goals. So study the names but also the abbreviations. Also study 5.10, the paragraphs on round robin and the knockout tournament, so that you will be able to describe what each one of these types of competitions entail. 5.11 is also of importance because safety is of great importance when a a lesson is presented. Certain safety measures should be in place. For example, the teacher should know any physical disability of the learner. The space should be ample for the activity presented. Clothing and footwear should be appropriate, etc. Make sure also to be able to set up rules for your learners to let them play safely. For example, do not play with glass bottles. Do not run with sharp objects in your hands, etc. Study, therefore, this topic well. First aid procedures are discussed in 5.12, and important in 5.12 is how to do rescue breaths. It's done as follows. Ensure the casualty's airway is open. Pinch their nose firmly closed. Take a deep breath and seal your lips around their mouth. Blow into the mouth until the chest rises. Remove your mouth and allow the chest to fall. Repeat once more. Again, a study tip will be to practice this on your own so that you can actually experience the complete procedure. Also very important, discussed in 5.12, is what a PE teacher will have to do when a child gets injured. Study the first two paragraphs in 5.12 in order to know the procedure. One point would be that the teacher should know the procedures of a specific school. Make sure to let the parent or guardian know about it and record the incident. There are more. Study these two paragraphs. Do you think that it's important that players, coaches and officials stick to the rules when playing a game? 5.13 sets out the reasons and study them. Can you also critically discuss them? In other words, why these facts are important or not, if you are sure that they are not? This concludes Unit 5 then. Unit 6. Unit 6 is about games to develop fitness and skill. 6.7 discusses the issue of designing own games. Only study the paragraphs on why get learners to design their own games in this regard. Will you be able to evaluate these facts? In other words, give your opinion on whether they are good and effective? A PE class should be enjoyable for learners and also less formal than, for instance, a maths class. But such a kind of class can easily end in chaos if not managed well by a teacher. So study 6.9 to find tips on how to do this. When we turn to Unit 7, 7.2, 7.5 and 7.6 are important. Not all people can move to rhythm naturally, so you as PE teacher can use ways to practice learners to keep to the rhythm. In 7.2, it is stated that not only is stomp a successful show, but a fun way to introduce learners to dance. The simple instructions to help you with that can be set out using this key, which you have to know by heart. And the key is C, S, S, W, F, and S. Let's see what each one stands for. C is clap. S is stomp, a tune or song with a fast tempo and a heavy beat. SW is swish, meaning brush hands back and forth on thighs. F is finger clicks. S is side step. To dance with style has many benefits. In fact, the reasons and benefits of dancing are set out in 7.5, like it keeps the body and brain active, it improves strength and flexibility, it improves body posture, etc. Study all 10 of them, but you should also be able to shortly discuss each benefit and skill. Loud noises can have a negative impact on human beings. It has an impact on our health. It causes stress reactions. It has an impact on people's performance at home, at school, or at work. It causes weight loss and mental and physical stress. It keeps us from having a deep sleep at night, so the body cannot relax and repair itself. It even has an impact on our immune systems. Study all these negative influences of too loud sounds as set out in 7.6. In the last unit, Unit 8, also it has also quite important content. The important issue of how you as teacher can motivate your learners to accept their physical appearance are discussed in 8.1. Study this extensively in order to be able to discuss this topic well. To be healthy and fit has definite advantages. The opposite will be to be unhealthy and unfit. Can you name the consequences when being not healthy and fit? Study 8.4 in this regard. It is part of a PE teacher's job to teach children the importance of personal hygiene. Personal hygiene involves the hygiene of the whole body, the hair, the hands, to wash every day, to brush teeth twice a day, to wash the feet very well every day. Have you ever thought why and how you will teach your learners the importance of personal hygiene and what the social reasons are that people are so aware of personal hygiene? Let your thoughts go on this topic because it's such an important part of life and should be taught to learners. 8.5 will help you with this. It is a common fact that too much exposure to the sun can cause skin cancer, especially in Namibia. We have to be careful of too much exposure. In 8.6.4, the ways on how to protect oneself from the sun are discussed. Study these ways well. It is very important to eat a well-balanced diet. What does this entail? To cut down on sugar and saturated fats, to drink plenty of water, to at least eat 2 portions of fish per week, etc. Study 8.8.1 to know these action items to live a healthy lifestyle. In 8.9.1, you only need to study the short and long-term effects of the drug ecstasy. The last paragraph of interest is the very important subject of nicotine, smoking, and the harmful effects it has on humans. These effects are discussed in 8.9.3. Make sure to know these effects by heart so that you will be able to discuss them with your learners. This concludes my discussion regarding the most important facts in your study guide. As mentioned previously, make it your priority to study right throughout the year, consistently and every day, if only for a short while, but every day. And remember that when answering a question, facts from different parts of the study guide can be applicable. It's not necessarily limited to one part of the guide. It is important to note that although physical and health education may seem a non-exam subject for learners and a period where learners are encouraged to explore in a less formal environment, you as teacher should exactly know how to keep them busy and how and why certain activities should be presented. Therefore, the teacher should know certain facts about the subject PHE, as well as the correct procedures regarding the presentation of PHE. It is therefore of utmost importance that you as student teachers should know facts regarding the subject. I stress this because some students are of the opinion that this subject does not need to be studied for and then they do poorly in the exams. Take time to know your study guide in order to present adequate facts during the exams. And do not forget to study the assignment as well. Lastly, please note that short answer questions will be asked, and the following kinds of questions can be asked. The first one, to fill in words which are left out. For example, a what is used during relay races, and the correct answer to fill in will then be baton. Possible answers can also be given, and then you have to choose the correct answer and fill it in the space provided. Third one, definitions of certain terminology. For example, strength, which is the ability of the body to exert a maximum force against a force external to the body. And another type of short question will be where you were given two columns, a column A and a B. In column A, there are certain concepts, namely exercises beneficial for a short put athlete, speed, chocolates and sweet, and in column B there are certain facts regarding these concepts. Not a healthy option to eat, lunges, the ability to move from one place to another in the shortest time possible. And you have to connect these facts in column A and column B. Now the correct answers in this case will be 1B, 2C, 3A, and you only fill in the correct letters. Do not write out the words. Please feel free to contact me regarding any uncertainties and questions you have about your subject. Good luck with the exams. You will be rewarded for hard work and dedication.